Grounding the pool grid to the electrical panel offers both advantages and disadvantages. Let's examine the pros. Firstly, additional protection. Bonding the grid to the panel provides an additional path for fault currents to flow, enhancing safety. Secondly, reduced voltage potential. The connection to the panel helps stabilize the voltage potential around the pool, reducing the risk of electrical shocks. Thirdly, compliance with some codes. Certain electrical codes recommend grounding the pool grid to the panel for additional safety. However, there are also cons to consider. Firstly, increased risk of corrosion. The connection between the copper grounding wire and the aluminum or galvanized steel panel can create a dissimilar metal junction, which can lead to accelerated corrosion over time. Secondly, potential for fault currents. If a fault occurs in the pool's electrical system, the current will flow through the grounding wire to the panel, which can trip the circuit breaker or fuse. This can disrupt the operation of other appliances connected to the same panel. Thirdly, additional wiring. Grounding to the panel requires additional wiring, which can increase the overall cost of the installation. Now, some important considerations. Firstly, local code requirements. Check your local electrical code to determine if grounding to the panel is required or recommended. Secondly, corrosion mitigation. If you decide to ground to the panel, ensure that the dissimilar metal junction is properly protected against corrosion using antioxidant paste or a grounding clamp designed for dissimilar metals. Thirdly, use of a separate grounding rod. As an alternative to grounding to the panel, consider installing a separate grounding rod near the pool to provide a dedicated grounding path. While grounding the pool grid to the panel is not strictly required by all codes, it is generally recommended for increased safety and compliance. However, it is important to consider the potential risks of corrosion and fault currents before making a decision. If you are concerned about these issues, you may want to opt for installing a separate grounding rod. Proper bonding and grounding are crucial for electrical safety around swimming pools. The primary purpose of bonding is to create an equipotential plane, meaning that all metallic parts around the pool are at the same electrical potential. This minimizes the risk of electric shock if a fault occurs. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides specific guidelines for bonding and grounding swimming pools. Section 680(26) of the NEC covers bonding requirements for metallic parts associated with the pool. This includes the pool's reinforcing steel, metal fittings, underwater lighting niches, and any other metallic components within a specified distance of the pool. The bonding conductor, typically an 8 AWG solid copper wire, connects all these metallic parts together. This ensures that if a fault occurs, the voltage difference between any 2 points within the pool area will be minimal, reducing the risk of electric shock. Grounding, on the other hand, provides a path for fault current to return to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and disconnecting the power. The pool's grounding system is typically connected to the equipment grounding conductor of the electrical circuit that supplies power to the pool equipment. This grounding conductor runs back to the main electrical panel and is connected to the grounding electrode system of the building. A common point of confusion is the difference between bonding and grounding. Bonding connects metallic parts together to equalize their potential, while grounding provides a path for fault current to return to the source. Both are essential for electrical safety around swimming pools. When installing a pool, it's important to follow the NEC guidelines and local electrical codes. This includes using the correct size and type of bonding and grounding conductors, making proper connections, and ensuring that all metallic parts are adequately bonded. One of the key considerations is the type of metal used in the pool's construction. Aluminum and copper are commonly used, and it's important to avoid direct contact between dissimilar metals, as this can lead to corrosion. When connecting copper bonding conductors to aluminum components, use a listed connector that is specifically designed for this purpose. Another important aspect is the depth and spacing of the bonding grid. The NEC specifies the minimum requirements for the size and spacing of the reinforcing steel in the pool's concrete shell, and the bonding grid must be installed in accordance with these requirements. The bonding grid should be connected to the pool's perimeter surface within a specified distance of the inside wall of the pool. Underwater lighting niches require special attention. The niche must be bonded to the bonding grid, and the grounding conductor for the lighting fixture must be run back to the electrical panel in a conduit. The conduit must be sealed to prevent water from entering the electrical system. Pool pumps and heaters also require proper grounding. The equipment grounding conductor for these appliances must be connected to the grounding electrode system of the building. It's important to use a listed grounding clamp that is compatible with the type of metal used for the grounding electrode. The NEC also addresses the requirements for ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs. GFCIs are required for all electrical circuits that supply power to pool equipment, including pumps, heaters, and lighting fixtures. GFCIs are designed to detect small imbalances in the current flowing through a circuit and to quickly disconnect the power if a ground fault is detected. This helps to protect people from electric shock. When installing a pool, it's essential to have a qualified electrician perform the electrical work. The electrician should be familiar with the NEC guidelines and local electrical codes, and they should have the experience and expertise to ensure that the pool's electrical system is installed safely and correctly. In addition to following the NEC guidelines, it's also important to consider the specific requirements of the pool manufacturer. The manufacturer's instructions may provide additional details about bonding and grounding, and it's important to follow these instructions carefully. Regular inspections of the pool's electrical system are also recommended. This can help to identify any potential problems before they become serious. The inspection should include checking the bonding and grounding connections, testing the GFCIs, and inspecting the wiring for any signs of damage. Maintaining proper water chemistry is also important for preventing corrosion of the pool's metallic components. The water should be tested regularly and adjusted as needed to maintain the correct pH, alkalinity, and calcium hardness levels. In summary, proper bonding and grounding are essential for electrical safety around swimming pools. By following the NEC guidelines, local electrical codes, and the manufacturer's instructions, and by performing regular inspections and maintenance, you can help to ensure that your pool is safe for everyone to enjoy. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work related to your swimming pool. The grounding electrode system typically consists of one or more grounding electrodes, such as ground rods, ground plates, or metal underground water pipes. The grounding electrodes must be properly installed and connected to the building's electrical system to provide a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source. The size and type of grounding electrodes are determined by the size of the electrical service and the soil conditions. In areas with high soil resistivity, it may be necessary to install multiple grounding electrodes to achieve the required grounding resistance. The grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode to the building's electrical system. The size of the grounding electrode conductor is determined by the size of the electrical service. The grounding electrode conductor must be installed in a protected manner, such as in a conduit or raceway, to prevent physical damage. The main bonding jumper connects the equipment grounding conductor to the grounded conductor at the service entrance. The size of the main bonding jumper is determined by the size of the service entrance conductors. The main bonding jumper ensures that the equipment grounding system is effectively connected to the neutral conductor, providing a lower impedance path for fault current to return to the source. The equipment grounding conductor provides a path for fault current to return to the source from electrical equipment and appliances. The equipment grounding conductor is typically a copper wire or a metallic conduit. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by the size of the circuit conductors. The equipment grounding conductor must be properly connected to the equipment and to the grounding system to ensure a low impedance path for fault current. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are required in many areas to protect people from electric shock. GFCIs are designed to detect small imbalances in the current flowing through a circuit and to quickly disconnect the power if a ground fault is detected. GFCIs are typically installed in bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas where there is a risk of contact with water. Arc fault circuit interrupters, or ASIs, are designed to protect against fires caused by electrical arcs. ASIs are required in many areas to protect against this type of hazard. SIs are typically installed in bedrooms and other areas where there is a risk of electrical arcs. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, are designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning or other sources. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance to protect the entire electrical system. SPD can also be installed at individual pieces of equipment to provide additional protection. Regular inspections of the electrical system are essential to ensure that it is safe and functioning properly. The inspection should include checking the wiring, connections, and grounding system. Any problems that are identified should be corrected promptly by a qualified electrician. It's important to keep the electrical system dry and free from moisture. Moisture can cause corrosion and electrical shorts, which can lead to fires or electric shock. If the electrical system is exposed to water, it should be inspected by a qualified electrician before being used again. It's also important to protect the electrical system from physical damage. Wires and cables should be protected from being cut, crushed, or otherwise damaged. If the electrical system is damaged, it should be repaired by a qualified electrician. Finally, it's important to use electrical equipment and appliances safely. Follow the manufacturer's instructions and do not overload circuits. If you have any questions about electrical safety, consult with a qualified electrician.